In today's video, we will discuss the top 10 futuristic green and agricultural technology. Trap view. Any farmer could tell you that pests can be the absolute bane of the agricultural world, and as such they will often spray pesticides over their crops, in order to scare away these creepy critters. However, farmers are not always aware of exactly which pests are attempting to eat away at their crops, and this is where Trap View comes into play. You see, this product is essentially a pest trap on steroids, as it not only catches bugs, but then photograph them and send you the data in real time, allowing farmers to make an educated response that not only tackles the correct type of pest, but does so in the correct area on their fields as well. Due to this ultimately leading to them saving money on fertilizer in the long run, having less of their crop compromised due to insects, the Trap View certainly is a good addition to the majority of farms. This technology will get immense importance in near future. Bountigel. Classical convention would tell you that nutrient-rich soil is essential for food-growing conditions. While this is true, Bountigel has been on a mission to make crop yields high, regardless of whether a field is experiencing an wet or dry spell. That's because Bountigel is a soil additive that in both its powdered and granular forms uses a proprietary technology that results in soil that absorbs up to 150 times its weight in water. While maintaining its mechanical strength, it essentially works by holding excess water near a plant's roots in reserve, so that if a dry spell occurs, it can then release the water into the crops and keep them from drying out. As a result, this continuous watering reduces seed and plant stress between irrigation cycles and can improve crop yields. With it reportedly working across a wide range of crops and soil types. In fact, researchers at UC Davis found that when this additive was used, it led to a broccoli crop becoming 30% larger despite using 25% less water, proving that the product really does work. To top this off, when you consider that Bountigel is completely eco-friendly, and can last for 3 years before biodegrading into the soil, it becomes clear that this additive is a sure investment. This is one of the future farming technology. Full harvest. Put simply, food waste is one of the biggest issues in the agricultural industry. After all, it's estimated at 20 billion pounds of ugly produce go to waste each year. But this amounting to massive amounts of water, methane, and potential nutrition simply being left uneaten. Yet while farmers are often unable to sell imperfect produce to grocery stores due to its low market value, Full Harvest is trying to change this narrative by creating a B2B marketplace, where farmers can connect with consumers in order to sell off produce that they otherwise would have had to throw away. The system essentially works almost like an online shop, as farmers will post their surplus food and then once they receive an order, ship it out to the customer, with the farmer getting paid instantly by Full Harvest for this effort. As a result, Full Harvest makes it possible for farmers to make profits off of what is essentially their garbage, making it a true win-win for all parties involved. Aquabite. Managing a large-scale fish farm is by no means an easy task, and thanks to the fact that thousands of fish are typically kept in one pen, it can often be hard to determine many of the specifics surrounding one's fishy assets. However, Aquabite is trying to fix this problem. By offering fish farms, or high-tech camera-powered system, they can pick up on not only how many fish are in a pen, but also how many sea lice are present, how much fish are eating and how large the fish in the pen currently are. Aquabite can use this information to suggest feed amounts based on fish size and activity. This is useful because it takes the guessing out of fish feeding, and allows the fish farmers to make more informed decisions on how much food to give their fish. This ultimately leads to less wasted food, and greater profit margins for the fish farmers, thus making it an all-round win-win situation. This technology will commonly be used in near future. Trace genomics. While genetics is the field of study that is typically dominated by both humans and animals, Trace Genomics is a company with a mission to extend genetic monitoring to a farmer's soil. Essentially, the equivalent of a dirt-based 23andMe, it helps farmers eliminate guesswork by definitively determining whether or not a patch of soil is too degraded to grow crops on. How does the company do this? You may ask. Well, first they start by analyzing the soil's biology, by applying proprietary soil DNA extraction and sequencing, to index and quantify millions of microbes within it. From there is the power of machine learning to decode these microbes, using data analysis to compare the soil sample they collected against a large and growing set of soil data. From there, Trace Genomics combines the soil's biological data with its chemical data, to create a report on how strong the soil is. This ultimately allows the farmer to decide whether or not growing on a certain plot of land will be profitable, thus ensuring that farming the area won't be lackluster, but will instead be both efficient and economically viable. Indoor vertical farming. In recent years, a very interesting new concept known as indoor vertical farming has taken root in more urban environments with limited land space. In essence, this involves building up, rather than building horizontally in regards to agriculture, as it encourages individual households and small growers to use growing shelves, in order to create a controlled growing environment. Now these shelves are rather versatile, and can use anything from traditional soil to more advanced techniques, such as hydroponic growing, or vegetables are cultivated in a nutrient-dense ball of water, or aeroponic growing, where free-flying plant roots are systematically sprayed with water and nutrients. In any of these three cases, the crops are generally given nutrients by artificial grow lights, with it being possible to use sensors in order to regulate and track the temperature, humidity, and nutrient levels of the crops. As a result, it has been estimated that this type of farm uses 70% less water for the same amount of output than a regular farm ward, and generally speaking leads to larger crops per resource used. To top this off, this type of farming is also very economically efficient, as the labor involved is typically much cheaper, and the transport costs are marginal due to the ability to implement vertical farming techniques practically anywhere. As a result, vertical farming really is a good way to combat the land and labor shortage in the agricultural industry. The Terra Sentia. As robots have become more and more popular around the globe, they have slowly crept their way into agriculture. And while there are many examples out there, one of the best is Terra Sentia robot made by EarthSense. Essentially, this small robot rolls between the crops in a farmer's field, and uses a combination of sensors, visual cameras, lidar, and GPS, to collect data on plant health, crop physiology, and stress response based on measurements such as stand count, stem width, and plant height. It then uses these metrics to give detailed reports to farmers, allowing them to make better decisions regarding the management of their crops. Best of all, not only is it self-learning, but is also programmed using a cloud platform which ultimately allows it to be given new updates on a rolling basis. When you consider that its developers are currently finding ways in which Terra Sentia can measure early vigor, corn ear height, soybean pods, plant biomass, and plant diseases, it becomes clear that this robot truly is a great machine. Cray Technologies agricultural drone. Typically speaking, labor costs tend to be a major headache for many farmers, as it's often quite expensive to pay workers to plant, water, spray, and ultimately harvest crops. However, Cray Technologies has made this no longer a problem by developing the world's first digital and fully unmanned drone crop sprayer. It essentially works by flying over fields and using sprayers to deliver on-demand fertilizers and pesticides, right to the farmer's fields, with the machine having the capability of servicing just south of 5 square kilometers of crops per day. It rather than simply spray arbitrary amounts of fertilizer, the agricultural drones is programmed to visualize a field in 3D, allowing it to give the exact amount of fertilizer necessary, at the exact time that is needed. Best of all, it can be preset, so that could be automated to fly without any human interference. Due to its hybrid computer vision system, it can detect obstacles and reconstruct the terrain 100 meters ahead with 10-centimeter precision. As such, we wouldn't be surprised if we see these in an increasing number on farmers' fields in the near future. Green architecture. Green architecture has the capability to cut down urban resource use dramatically, and making urban expansion sustainable. Green architecture allows for buildings to be constructed in a way that they make use of existing natural light and ensure adequate insulation, so as to reduce energy consumption. Such construction practices will reduce energy use in lighting, and by reducing the amount of heat lost to the outside, eliminate the need for heating. Moreover, the construction materials will be sourced from urban waste and landfills. This technology, in the near future, will allow for all buildings to be passive, not requiring significant additional emissions for their production and use. The green building materials market is expected to be more than $254 billion in 2025, according to Navigant Research. McAfee AI Foresight predicts the future of green building materials will hold air cleaning materials, microgrids, net zero buildings, and smart glass. Satellite imagery. All satellites may typically be associated with space travel in your Wi-Fi. It turns out that they have a major role to play in farming as well. That's because a number of companies now offer satellite service to fields that can give farmers round-the-clock information about their crops from an aerial perspective. Now these services typically work by charting fields with 3 to 5 meter resolution imagery and then using the data to determine the number of variables regarding crop health. In particular, they use metrics such as the Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, Canopy Chlorophyll Content Index, and Modified Soil Adjusted Vegetation Index, to assess the status of the field of crops. From there, the satellites can generate recommendations on how best to fertilize these crops, or chemical treatments might be needed, and perhaps most impressively of all, estimate crop yields before they're even harvested. To top this off, many of these satellites even have an automatic alert system, meaning that rather than just offering data, they will instead generate it for you. Interestingly enough, there is also a completely separate environmental service that is often offered by the satellite companies. That's because they can detect change in a landscape over time, and must be contracted by private individuals and governments to monitor areas of farmland that are close to ecologically sensitive areas and ensure their farming does not encroach on, say, a protected area. As a result, the satellites really have the potential to make farming not just more effective, but also more environmentally friendly. This technology will get immense popularity in future. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.